Marcus Aurelius, the man who had everything, yet wanted nothing. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. He commanded armies. He controlled wealth beyond imagination. His word could mean life or death for millions. And yet, when we read his private thoughts, we don't find ambition. We don't find hunger for domination, nor do we even find confidence in the way we expect it. We find restraint. We find self-discipline. We find a man constantly reminding himself not to be corrupted by the very power he held. This is the paradox at the heart of Marcus Aurelius. He had everything, and trained his mind to want almost nothing. Power without attachment. Most people believe power solves inner conflict, that if they had more money, more authority, more status, they would finally feel settled. Marcus Aurelius knew the opposite was true. Power does not remove temptation, it multiplies it. And the greater the power, the greater the danger of losing yourself. That is why the central theme of Marcus's inner life was not control over others, but control over himself. In his meditations, written late at night, often on military campaigns, he reminds himself again and again, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This was not a motivational quote, it was a survival strategy. Marcus Aurelius was born in 121 AD into Roman nobility. From a young age, he was marked as exceptional, intelligent, serious, disciplined beyond his years. By his teens, he had caught the attention of Emperor Hadrian himself. Hadrian saw something rare in Marcus, not charm, not ambition, but gravity. And so Marcus was pulled into the imperial system early, trained, observed, prepared for power long before he asked for it. But here's the crucial detail most people miss. Marcus was not raised to crave authority. He was raised to fear what authority could do to his character. His tutors were Stoic philosophers who drilled one idea into him relentlessly. If you cannot rule yourself, ruling others will only make you worse. This early psychological conditioning shaped everything. Modern psychology would call this internal locus of control. The belief that your primary responsibility lies within your own judgments, not external outcomes. Marcus absorbed this deeply. Unlike most emperors, Marcus did not see philosophy as an accessory. It was not a hobby. It was not a public performance. It was mental training. He wore simple clothing. He slept on the floor at times. He practiced voluntary discomfort, not because hardship was noble, but because dependency was dangerous. Stoicism taught him a brutal psychological truth. The more you depend on external comfort, praise, or power, the more fragile you become. Marcus writes, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This was not naive optimism. It was defensive minimalism. He was stripping his inner life down to what could not be taken from him, even by fate. When Marcus Aurelius became emperor in 161 AD, there was no triumphal arrogance, no intoxication with power. Instead, there was anxiety. Because Marcus understood something few leaders ever admit. Power does not reveal who you are. It amplifies who you already are. And so, instead of indulging, he doubled down on restraint. In his private writings, he constantly warns himself, "Do not become Caesar. Do not become inflated. Do not forget that you are only a man." He writes, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Notice the psychology here. Marcus is not trying to dominate the future. He is anchoring himself to the present. Modern psychology would call this mortality salience, using awareness of death to sharpen values and reduce ego-driven behavior. Marcus used death not to depress himself, but to discipline himself. Ruling others versus ruling the self. Most rulers throughout history obsessed over control. Marcus did the opposite. He assumed he could not fully control others and focused instead on making sure his own judgments remained clean. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." This was not moral posturing, it was emotional hygiene. Marcus knew that resentment, anger, and cruelty were contagious, especially in positions of authority. If he allowed himself to become bitter, Rome would feel it. So instead of trying to dominate enemies, critics, or traitors psychologically, he practiced internal detachment. Detachment did not mean indifference. It meant refusing to let external events dictate his inner state. Meditations, a private battle. One of the most misunderstood things about Marcus Aurelius is Meditations itself. This was never meant to be read. It was written in Greek, not Latin, the language of private thought, not public authority. It was a notebook, a mirror, a correction mechanism. Marcus was not teaching others. He was correcting himself. Again and again, he writes reminders like, "Don't complain, don't seek praise, don't fear death, don't become arrogant." This repetition tells us something psychologically important. Marcus was not naturally immune to ego. He was actively fighting it. By this point in his life, a central belief had hardened inside Marcus's mind. If I lose command over myself, no amount of external power will save me. This belief would be tested brutally, because Marcus's reign would not be peaceful. War was coming, plague was coming, betrayal was coming, and everything he believed about internal detachment would be forced into action. But before the chaos arrived, Marcus laid the foundation. He chose mastery over self rather than domination over others. He chose restraint over indulgence. He chose inner order over external control. And that choice would define the mind of Marcus Aurelius. Power under pressure. If segment 1 was about preparation, segment 2 is about pressure. Because philosophy is easy when life is stable. It is only proven when everything begins to break. Marcus Aurelius did not reign in peace. His rule unfolded during one of the most turbulent periods in Roman history. War on multiple fronts, a devastating plague, political tension, personal illness, and yet his inner discipline did not collapse. It intensified. Shortly after becoming emperor, Marcus found himself responsible not just for Rome, but for its survival. Germanic tribes pressed against the northern borders. Armies had to be mobilized. Decisions had to be made that would send men to their deaths. For most rulers, war feeds ego. For Marcus, war sharpened restraint. He did not see himself as a conqueror. He saw himself as a servant of duty. He writes, "Do not be disturbed by what you cannot avoid." Psychologically, this is radical acceptance, the refusal to waste emotional energy resisting reality. Marcus understood something modern leadership psychology now confirms. Leaders who over-identify emotionally with outcomes burn out. Leaders who focus on conduct remain stable. So Marcus anchored himself not to victory, but to virtue. Unlike many emperors, Marcus did not rule from a palace. He spent years living with his legions on the Danube frontier. Cold, mud, long nights, constant threat. It was here in tents and temporary camps that much of Meditations was written. Not in luxury, not in comfort, in fatigue. This matters because it reveals the true function of Stoicism in Marcus's life. It was not philosophical reflection, it was psychological regulation under extreme stress. He writes, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being." This is not poetic, it is practical. Modern psychology would call this behavioral activation, acting in accordance with values even when motivation is absent. Marcus did not wait to feel inspired. He moved because duty demanded movement, the Antonine Plague. As if war were not enough, disaster followed disaster. The Antonine Plague swept through the Roman Empire, killing millions. Cities emptied, families collapsed. Fear spread faster than the disease. Marcus did not flee. He did not hide behind superstition or denial. He organized relief. He funded aid. He continued governing. And privately, he trained his mind not to break. He writes, "Do not let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole." This is cognitive discipline. Marcus refused to mentally totalize catastrophe. Instead of absorbing the entire weight of the crisis emotionally, he narrowed his focus to what could be done now. Modern trauma psychology confirms this. The mind survives overwhelming stress by reducing scope and anchoring to the present task. Marcus understood this intuitively. Marcus Aurelius himself was chronically ill. Historians believe he suffered from stomach disorders, chronic pain and fatigue. And yet, his writings show no self-pity. Instead, we see constant reminders. Pain is sensation. Suffering is judgment. He writes, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. This is not denial. It is separation." Marcus distinguished between physical sensation and psychological resistance. This distinction is central to Stoic endurance. Modern psychology would call it cognitive reframing. Marcus used it not to pretend pain didn't exist, but to prevent pain from becoming identity. The burden of decision. As emperor, Marcus made decisions that could not be clean. There were no perfect choices, only lesser harms. This is the psychological burden of power most people never consider. Stoicism helped Marcus accept moral ambiguity without collapsing into guilt or cynicism. He writes, "Do what is right, the rest does not matter." Notice the precision. Not do what feels good, not do what guarantees success, but do what aligns with reason and virtue, and release attachment to outcome. This is ethical detachment, not apathy. Marcus did not harden himself emotionally. He disciplined himself ethically. Betrayal without bitterness. One of the most severe tests of Marcus's philosophy came with betrayal. Trusted generals rebelled, plots formed, loyalty fractured. For many rulers, betrayal becomes obsession, revenge, paranoia, cruelty. Marcus chose restraint. He wrote, "The best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer." This was not weakness, it was protection. Marcus understood that bitterness would not just poison his enemies, it would poison him. Modern psychology confirms this. Chronic resentment damages judgment, increases stress hormones, and narrows moral perception. Marcus refused to pay that price. Power without cruelty. Despite absolute authority, Marcus resisted brutality. He did not rule through terror. He did not indulge sadism. This restraint baffled contemporaries. But it made sense within his internal framework. Marcus did not see power as permission. He saw it as responsibility. He writes, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This line alone summarizes his leadership psychology. External dominance was easy. Internal discipline was the real challenge. The cost of detachment. Internal detachment did not make Marcus emotionally numb. It made him lonely. Stoicism does not promise comfort. It promises clarity. Marcus bore grief, loss, exhaustion, but he refused to let suffering turn him into something lesser. He held the line internally, even when the world pressed in externally. By the later years of his reign, Marcus was tired. Not defeated, but worn. And yet, his writings grow sharper, more disciplined, more stripped down. The system held because it was built for pressure, not comfort. And still, the greatest test was yet to come. A test not of war or plague, but of legacy. Because power, in the end, must be handed over. And how Marcus handled that would reveal the final depth of his internal detachment. There is one moment that reveals a man more clearly than all others. Not when he rises, not when he conquers, but when he must let go. For Marcus Aurelius, the final test of his philosophy was not war, plague, or betrayal. It was succession. It was mortality. It was the knowledge that everything he had built would soon be out of his hands. And here, more than anywhere else, we see the depth of his internal detachment. Power was never the point. By the final years of his life, Marcus Aurelius had spent nearly 2 decades at war. His body was worn, his health fragile, his energy diminished. And yet, his mind remained disciplined. One of the most striking features of Meditations is that Marcus never speaks about legacy the way other rulers do. No obsession with monuments, no desperation to be remembered, no hunger for immortality through reputation. Instead, he reminds himself, Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. This is not cynicism. This is liberation. Marcus understood that clinging to legacy is simply ego extending itself beyond death. True detachment meant accepting disappearance, the psychological freedom of impermanence. Modern psychology tells us that fear of death drives much human behavior. Status-seeking, accumulation, control. Marcus faced this fear directly, not by denying death, but by rehearsing it. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't morbid, it was clarifying. When death is fully accepted, urgency replaces anxiety. Marcus no longer needed to secure himself through power. He was already free internally. No discussion of Marcus Aurelius is complete without confronting the most painful part of his legacy, his son, Commodus. Marcus prepared Rome carefully. He trained himself relentlessly. But here, Stoic control met its limits. Commodus would become one of Rome's most infamous emperors, impulsive, cruel, intoxicated by power. This has led many to ask, how could the most disciplined Stoic emperor raise such a successor? The answer reveals something essential about Marcus's philosophy. Marcus believed deeply in accepting what was not fully within his control, even when it broke his heart. He could guide, he could teach, but he could not control another man's character. And Stoicism does not promise control over others, only responsibility toward them, acceptance without illusion. Marcus did not blind himself with optimism about Commodus. Historical accounts suggest he was aware of his son's flaws. And yet, he chose not to cling to power indefinitely to fix the future. He accepted succession. This was not weakness, it was philosophical consistency. Marcus knew that attempting to control the future beyond one's role is another form of attachment. He writes, "Do your duty, that's enough. The rest belongs to fate." This moment, handing power to another, is where most rulers fail. They cling, they manipulate, they refuse to release control. Marcus did not. He understood that the Stoic task is not to guarantee outcomes, but to act with integrity and then let go. Modern psychology would call this healthy detachment. Marcus lived it. Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD, likely during a military campaign. No grand speeches, no desperate clinging. Just a man who had rehearsed this moment his entire life. He had written for years, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years." When death came, it did not surprise him, because he had already let go internally long before his body followed. the final shape of his mind. Looking back across Marcus Aurelius's life, a pattern emerges. He never sought domination. He never chased indulgence. He never tried to escape reality. Instead, he practiced something far more difficult: internal sovereignty. He ruled an empire, yes, but more importantly, he ruled his impulses, his anger, his ego, his fear of loss. This is why his words still resonate today, not because he was perfect, but because he was disciplined. We live in an age obsessed with control. Control over image, control over outcomes, control over how others see us. Marcus offers a different path. He reminds us that power over others is temporary. Power over the self is enduring. External success without internal discipline leads to corruption. Inner order creates outer stability. He writes, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not your status, not your influence, not your authority, your thoughts." Marcus Aurelius did not escape power. He stood at its peak. And from that height, he chose restraint. He chose simplicity. He chose humility. He chose mastery over self rather than mastery over others. And in doing so, he left behind something far more valuable than an empire. He left a map of the disciplined mind, a mind that can hold power without being owned by it, a mind that can face loss without collapsing, a mind that can let go without fear.